What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It has been about 4 to 5 days now since I picked up the camera, but I am back here in the garage trying to get back on my grind, and I need to button up a few things with the CRX. Actually, I did a few yesterday. So if you guys have seen in the last video, I talked about swapping out the thermostat. So I took the original thermostat that was in this block and I went to go put it in a pot, and it opened up at about 170, and I bought a brand new one to replace that with a gasket. When I took the original one out, the gasket was brittle. It literally like shredded when I took it off the thermostat. And apparently the last person, not Tyga, but the last person who put this motor together reused the old unit, and they used a ton of RTV around it. So I don't know if that was getting the thermostat stuck or whatever the case is, but with the new thermostat, I punched 6 holes in it, and it is a 170-degree thermostat, so it opens up sooner. The original one, when I first turned the car on, it didn't open until about 230 degrees. So this one is new with the new gasket, has 6 holes in it. I bled it out yesterday, and the temperature opened up the thermostat exactly at 170 on my app, and bled everything out, and I took the car out for a drive. At the end of this video, I'll throw in a few clips of me driving this car yesterday. Today I want to make a drain back on my catch can. That's what I noticed yesterday. So since this car made all those pulls on the dyno, I lost track of how many times we made a pull on the dyno, plus the 2 passes yesterday. I saw a little bit of oil coming out of my catch can, not smoke but oil. So it was dripping onto my downpipe, the exhaust system, and it was smoking on my way home. So I cleaned the catch can out yesterday. I cleaned the lines out, the baffle and all of that, and reinstalled it right there. But I feel like I need to put a drain back on this. The oil wasn't dirty, it was just catching into the can, and I think it'll be okay to drain it back. Now Rotella is cheap, so I can change oil more frequently instead of recycling old oil from the catch can back into the block. But aside from that, I'm just going to try to weld a dash 10 on the bottom of the can and then drain it back to the block. Some cheap eBay aluminum dash 10. So I got the catch can dash 10 welded up. I did spark some fire earlier because of brake cleaner on the inside, because I was cleaning this out to make sure that that wasn't going to happen, although it did. I was able to clean up my tungsten and clean this back up, re-weld it. Now it's fully shut. So say if I didn't want to run the drain back anymore, whatever the case is, I can just use a dash 10 cap it off, and we'll be exactly back to how it was before this process. But in this case, like I said, Rotella is cheap. I can change oil more frequently. My oil did come out clean from the can with a little mixture of the old VR1 that was in it, because it is baffled, so not all the fluid was going to come out. But the Rotella was clean. It didn't smell all weird and nothing like that. So if I'm doing a drain back, I just have to change oil a little bit more frequently, just in case of contamination or the E85, the moisture and stuff going back into my motor, which could mess up your bearings, as far as I've read. I don't know if you guys can see that. Taking off that plug. So I got the fitting off the back of the block. It is a 14-headed Allen plug, and this comes off like so, and I think it has a little washer in the back as well too, a little crush washer somewhere right there. You can see it. And this is the new one going in. You got to be very careful to go with this slowly. Make sure your threads are clean. I can't tell if my threads are clean, but you know what I'm saying? Big pause. Be careful threading it in, because you could strip it since it is aluminum. And different brand, different companies, this socket size may be different. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this, guys, and then we'll move on to our line. Yep, that's the dash 10 fitting. Now, if you see the hole right there in the bottom, if your block is pre-96, I believe, I think 96 is OBD2. If your block is pre-96, that bottom hole has a box, the PVC box, PCV, the black box, and when you remove the black box, that hole is actually an access hole too, a breather port, and you can get the fitting to block that hole off and run a dash 10 through that to be your drain back from your catch can. Because mine is OBD2 block, it doesn't have a black box in place of that, so the hole is actually blocked off. So I'm using the hole above, which is another breather port, and there's another identical hole over there. You can see the 14 mil fitting in place. I'm using that to run my return line from the catch can. So if you wanted to, if you have one of those bigger catch can, you can run two to give it more block ventilation. In this case, I'm running a small Moroso. I'm just going to use that one right here.
You guys want this thing? I'll land for you.
So you guys just heard the fan turn on right now, right? And that was on the stock wiring fan system, like through the chassis harness and stuff. We were trying to figure out why this fan wasn't drawing or pulling as hard as the specification says. This one draws what, CFM 1700?
Yeah,
1700. It didn't sound like 1700 with the stock wiring. So now we're doing direct power, because we do plan on putting this on a relay system like my CRX, because if you guys know, my CRX fan is the loudest thing in my whole car other than the fuel pump. So right now we're giving it direct power from the battery box. Go ahead and kick it on real quick. Look at that thing. Holy crap. Hey, we need to put a relay system on it, bro.
Like right now.
ASAP. Your thing's gonna be not seeing 190 no more.
It's gonna be like 120.
Guys, had a little mishap earlier. We'll talk about the Integra right here in just a second. So nightfall, right? Got all the boys chilling with us here tonight in the garage, and I was making my return line for the drain back, and I had to get rid of the old dash 10 hose that was on it because it was fraying out too much. I couldn't put the fitting on. So as I was putting the line and stuff on, I accidentally pushed down on the feed line to the alternator because I didn't have a grommet on here, this guy, and I fried this guy because this is grounded, obviously. That's power, and I burned the living crap out of my arm. I don't know if you guys can see it, right? It hurts pretty bad. So burned my arm, and after I installed the catch can, the drain back, all that's all tightened up, I had to switch out my feed line because when this got burnt, this is PTFE on the inside, so it is Teflon, and this thing burnt the stainless. Where is it at? Which one? It's this side, yeah. So it burnt this, that, and it burnt like a third spot right here, third spot. And typically when that happens, this burns through the Teflon, and then that becomes a hole where oil would leak through. I've done it before, and I figured I'm just going to change it out instead of having a whole engine bay be squirted out with oil and all that. So that's situated. I got to move this car out right now, guys, because I got to move this car right there onto the driveway, and once I do that, we'll talk about what we're going to be doing with this car. Guys, so this Integra was dropped off a little bit earlier, and funny thing is, well, I wouldn't say it's funny, right, because you know how it feels to be ignored. So this guy, his name is Randy, he hit me up like back in March, and it is August, obviously, and back in March, he hit me up, and like, you know, I get busy. I told the guy, I was like, hey, let me clean my driveway up and then I'll take your car in. But, you know, the message gets pushed down so far from everyday messages and stuff like that, that I didn't reply back to him. So he waited from March to August and hit me up today and said, hey, never heard back from you. Are you still willing to do the work for him? So I was like, yeah. What was it what we were talking about? Scroll back up and it's like, oh, I'm supposed to do a J-front install. So this car is going to be converted over to a Japanese front, a J-front, which most people will call it. So last night I was explaining to you guys that we were doing a J-front on this Integra and the battery died. So today we are doing the J-front on this Integra, and I was working on it a little bit this morning, and then I kind of passed out on my SI seat right there. So I've already kind of jumped the gun here. It's self-explanatory as far as removing the whole front end off the car goes. You can see here, both fenders, the hood and the bumper is off. The core support is about ready to come off. We're only doing the top half. Why? Because the support that was provided was already cut right here, just the top half. But what I also noticed is that this radiator support, this top half, looked awfully familiar. I've seen a car like this in the junkyard, which was silver, and this seems to be pulled out of the junkyard with the markings right there. And this actually came from a buddy of mine that sold it to this guy because it's just a small little loop, you know, friends work with each other, word of mouth. And then he ended up picking up this from a buddy Danny. So he's got the J front, we got the fenders, we got the bumper, which is pretty in bad condition. We got the hood also kind of scarred up. We got the headlights over here, and I believe the grill is right there as well too. Right here we have the bumper support, JDM thin bumper support, and the good thing is that we have all the pieces we need to do this job, so it'll be easier for me to align everything into place instead of, you know, guesstimating how far the hood is going to close up to the grill or to the headlights, so on and so forth. So I've already cut out this section right here. I did cut up a little bit more than you know, what is needed, but the reason why I did that is just in case, you know, by the eyeball this is either too short or too long. We still have a lot to you know, bite off from. So the T section of the JDM support is going to go kind of attaching to the stock USDM radiator support. Just the top half is being swapped out, which we're going to be cutting out this whole top section right here, and that T as well as these legs, because we're not going to be needing this anymore because the core support on that one doesn't come out this far. It actually sits about right here. That bracket sits about here. We don't need it because it's just going to stick out like a sore thumb. And I've already trimmed it there, trimmed it there, trimmed it here. I've already drilled all this out, and right now I'm just kind of eyeballing where I need to cut here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm trying to cut up here somewhere that'll allow me to still have these, you know, two panels from this guy to that guy touch each other so I can weld it so it's not flimsy. I'm sure I did a video on Tyga's DB7 J-front install a couple years ago, so I'm not going to get too crazy in the process of showing you step by step on this one, but I'll try to remember to link it somewhere up there for you guys. If not, I'll link a different one which shows the same process. Out with the old, in with the new used. So this support is not fully seated, and this is what I meant by you know, leaving a little extra meat to bite on, right? You can see it right there, how the stock one goes all the way to the top. And another good reference point is the AC line. You can see where this guy sits opposed to where this guy sits, so that means this probably has to go a little bit further down, and I'm probably going to remove this tab to put this guy on here, that this will sit flat there, and then we'll just weld it across. Another reference point is the fender bolt hole. So the thing about the USDM core support, or not the core support, this is actually the sides. This big old chunk of metal right here comes all the way out too far for the J front headlight, so it needs to be trimmed. And normally what I do with this, I've done a few J front conversions for Integras before, and what I do is I cut along the line. So I cut up right here, and then I go up right there along, you know, this tube panel, and then I go all the way straight up. And the reason why you got to cut this out is because the J front headlight curves into here, which sits over here for the fender side, and this is in the way. Secondly, obviously the core support is not sitting flat down, right, because it is hitting that side. So once you trim all this out, this core support, this top section will go down, sit flush right there. The curvature is almost the same already, and it should sit flatter. That should go further down. Another reference. God damn it. Wow, that was a bloody mess. Hit my leg twice and I didn't even notice it until I looked down. You, sir, is dangerous. So, another good reference point. The AC, what do you call this, condenser? you know, lines up right there, right? But my main focus on the mounting point would be the fenders. I'm gonna grab the fenders, stick it on here, align it to the door, make sure the gap is right, and then, you know, I'll shimmy this around to see where it's best fitted. And then obviously I'm gonna put the hood and everything on to make sure everything looks good. But first, let's cut these sides out. I've been at this for a little while now, and this is not the best fitting front end at all. Every piece to this J front, aside from the fender and the hood, is damaged. So the headlight has 2 tabs and not 3, so it's flimsy in the front. The headlight lens and the housing are both separating, so the flex, and I can't get it to sit where it's supposed to sit. The headlight doesn't have the grommet either, the little rubber that sits right here, so I don't know if this gap is normal, and it's making it harder to align everything. The 3 little clips that go in the back of the grill are all broken. The bumper itself, obviously not in the greatest condition. What really made it super hard to align this front end together is the end tabs. They are chewed off by a dog or big tires or something. Both sides, the tabs are gone. You can see it's supposed to bolt to the fender right there, and I couldn't do that, so I put a self-tapping screw right in the middle to hold this nice and flat, and, you know, in the correct spot that it needs to be with the fender, although I don't like the way I did that. The fenders are secured for the most part. I got the gap correct. You can see same thing on this side. Everything's super flimsy because all the mounting tabs are broken. I'm trying my best here to not make this, you know, like not fitting when he does, you know, replace all the parts with some new stuff. So the hood fits. I'm not too satisfied with it, but I can always move it around and, you know, get it to line up correctly. You can see this side right here, gap is a lot bigger, and this is the reason why I aligned the front end on the car itself before welding the radiator support on, because it gives me, you know, a little play to shimmy it back and forth however I need to get this front end to line up as best as possible. So right now this side, I mean, it looks good, except this back side kicks up pretty high. I'm not sure why. This hood look like it's been flopped or something beforehand, because there's a lot of dents and dinks right here where the hinges are at, right? And again, this side, it's flush, but the gap is a little bigger than I want it to be. So a lot more tweaking to do here, guys. I'm supposed to get this car back before today ends, but this is taking a lot longer, especially when you guys provide stuff to me that are damaged. I can't make this up. The yellow capsules in the fog, it's just chilling in there. So this harness right here originally sat down here. We have one plug for the horn right here, and that goes over there. The USDM bumper lamp has 2 plugs to it. I believe one is like parking lights, the other one is parking light and signal, which is this guy, the 3-wire. The red is constant, the green flashes when you signal, the black is ground. This one right here is just constant to be on all the time. So what I'm doing is I'm separating it all the way over here so I could pull as much wire out as possible to you know, give these guys its home location. So the horn, we need it long enough to go back over there. The 3-prong plug right here is going to be going to the JDM headlight for the corner. Instead of being on the bumper now, it's going to be on the headlight itself, and you know, that's going to work as parking and signal. This one right here is going backwards to the side marker, which is going to be sitting right here on the fender, this guy right there. And it is the same plug, right? But this one right here is deteriorated. Somebody glued this into the bumper lamp, and I mean, the tab is not broken, so I technically could still use this, but I have to change the bulb, because the bulb that came off of this is a ginormous LED style, which is over here, right there, and that's not going to fit into the JDM side marker. So excuse my dirty ass hands. I've been fighting this, you know, fitment on this car for a cool minute now. So today's race war is in Sacramento, and I didn't buy a race ticket or a spectator ticket, and didn't know that I was going to be taking this Integra today, but I didn't make it. This is the first year of race wars that I did not make it to, and I know there was a lot of tickets that was still floating around from other people who couldn't make it to the race, but it's hot as balls out there. So I figured, you know what, I'd rather just grind, make the cash, and plenty of other race days to make it to. So yesterday, I spent a lot of time fitting the front end on the car. Now, mind you guys, I'm not crazy OCD, but I'm just a tad bit on certain things. So yesterday I was fighting the grill for the longest time, the grill. And I had issues where this wouldn't stay clipped onto the bumper. If you guys don't know, J front grill has this little like edge that's supposed to slide onto the bumper, then it gets bolted down, and then there's 3 clips in the back that holds it into place. The 3 clips aren't there. I don't know, these are makeshift brackets or whatever, but they are there to hold the grill in place. And this guy keeps flexing, and you know, if you kind of like close the hood too hard or pop the hood, it tends to pop out, and that bothered me so much. So I can't do much about it because all of the tabs being broken, whatever, but you know, we got majority of the front end installed. We got all the lights working. I mean, at least the important lights are working. These guys, this guy, the side markers are working, and the only thing that doesn't work is the fog and the high beam. Why? Because he didn't provide any bulbs whatsoever, so I didn't do those. But regardless, he has all the lights he needs to drive at night, and pretty much it's ready to go. I just put the side skirts, the mud flaps, the fender lining, all that stuff is back into place, and it's pretty much ready to be dropped. I'm gonna hit up the owner right now, let him know that the car is ready to go so he can head on over here, because today I got another car coming in. So I am going to wrap up the video right here. The owner is on the way to pick up his car, and I know a lot of you guys commented about how my family is during this wildfire right now. Literally this past week has been over, like it's been filled with a lot of ashes and cloud smoke in the sky. It still is. I mean, you can kind of see it, and literally all around us has been in fire. We are safe. They haven't gave us an evacuation order, at least in this part of town yet, but it's like, I don't know how much percentage is contained right now, but we are still on high alert of it, and hopefully it doesn't get too bad. I know you guys voted a lot on the truck to be the next car to work on. Yesterday I released a video on which car to work on next. I talked to some of my friends, and they said get the wagon running first and then start on another project, because if you guys remembered, I talked about the truck was going to come on board when all my cars are running. 2 of my car are running out of the 3, and I think it's just kind of best to just get all 3 running before I start another project. So maybe after this car coming up next, we'll start putting together the new motor for the wagon that's been sitting here this whole year. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the progress update on this car, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you guys want to stick around for the next car coming up here today, hopefully later today, be sure to hit the subscribe button. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.